next, it is the Classic Touring Car Racing Club Super Touring Series, a new series for this year for those iconic cars that really launched touring car racing to the public in the 1990s. We have 10 of them here this weekend, some very special cars, some very special names, combined with the pre-03 touring cars, sponsored by Bertie Haulage for this year. And we'll give you the grid shortly, but we have some interviews from down in the paddock earlier, first of all.
Now, welcome down to the garages. As you can see, it's something everybody's rather excited about. The Super Tour is coming out very shortly. As you can see, I'm actually next to John Clelland's Vauxhall Vectra. What a beauty it is. Over here, though, on the right, car number 28, it's the MG. It's Colin Turkington, of course, a multiple British touring car champion. I'm going to see if we can have a quick word with him. I'm going to try and interrupt here. Sorry, Colin, I really hate to interrupt, but I tend to do it anyway. Of course, you're no stranger to touring cars, but classic touring cars, a bit different?
Very much so. I've dabbled in the past, Silverstone Classic, Donington Historic, things like that, but first time in Jason's MG ZS, and brings me right back to 2002, 20 years ago, when I was, first started racing this car.
You mean 20 years ago when you were just a wee nipper?
Yeah. What are you trying to say? I'm still only a wee nipper.
Exactly.
But, thoroughly enjoying it. We have a setup on the car from back then, and the car's handling beautifully, just as I remember. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. Qualifying went quite well. It was short and sweet, I'm racing the car today and Jason's tomorrow, so we did a few laps each, so we're up at the pointy end of the grid.
I mean, what a field it is as well. It's unbelievable. Is this weekend, you're a competitor, you're a serious competitor, is this weekend about having fun, or you want to win, right?
It's all about having fun until the helmet goes on. So, yeah, no, we're here to enjoy ourselves, and it's just great, as you said, to see these cars. These are the cars that I grew up watching, certainly. The Rickard car and Don Cleland and Anthony, so it's cool for me to be out on the grid with those guys, and hopefully we can get in a bit of a battle. So and the weather helps too, it's been a cracking weekend so far.
Lovely, Colin, thanks for talking to us. Best of luck, enjoy it, won't you? Yeah. We'll certainly be keeping an eye on you. There we go, Colin Turkington. It's almost time for the racing action, so let's hand back to your commentator, Dave Goddard.
Number 116 is James Alton on the 35 BARC.
Yes, thanks very much, Ian. It's now time to go through the grid for the Super Touring cars and the Pre-03 Touring cars. We mustn't forget the Pre-03s as well. Well, mainly Honda Civics, plus a couple of BMWs and a Peugeot 306. It's almost like the end of the Super Touring era, isn't it? When we had the production class come in BTCC, which started behind the Super Tourers. We are about to, quite literally, party like it's 1999 with this race. Let's have a look at the grid. In pole position, it is Jason Minshaw, aka Rickard Rydell, in the Volvo S40 that the great Swede won at the 1998 British Touring Car Championship at the wheel-off. Alongside him is Anthony Reid, number 23. Yes, the great Anthony Reid. He's raced touring cars in Britain, South Africa, Japan, all over the world, and returns in a Nissan Primera here today in the works colours from the late 1990s. On the second row, perhaps an even greater name, John Cleland, two-time British touring car champion in 1989 with the Vauxhall Astra, 1995 with the Vauxhall Cavalier. He's out in one of the 888s built Vauxhall Vectras. Not a car that he himself raced in period. It was a car that Derek Warwick competed in back in the late 90s, the car that raced at Bathurst as well. That's the machine that Cleland is racing today. And he starts alongside Richard Wheeler, aka David Leslie, in the car that the late great David Leslie raced in 1998. Richard Wheeler now owns the two Primeras. We saw Richard in his Nissan GTR in the Brit Car Endurance Championship last season. The boss of Brisky Racing, now running the pair of Nissans here this weekend. Row 3 is a man we've just heard from, four-time British Touring Car Champion, Colin Turkington, returning to his roots, the Northern Irishman. Made his BTCC debut in the top flight in 2002 in an MG ZS. That was the Team Atomic Kitten car, remember those? Alongside Gareth Howell. Colin will be racing in today's race. The car's owner, Jason Hughes, will be taking over that car for tomorrow, the MG ZS. And alongside Colin will be Tony Absalom. He's in a Vauxhall Cavalier, the Mint Motorsports car, which competed in the Independence class of British touring cars from the the mid-1990s. Richard Kay and Jamie Wall were the drivers of that car. Tony Absalom, the ex-VW racer, taking the wheel today. Row 4 is number 21, Darren Fielding. He's in a Vauxhall Cavalier, the car built for the Spa 24 Hours in 1993, where David Leslie was one of the drivers. The Ecurie Ecosse driver as he was at the time. That's the car. This is the car that Ian Heward briefly raced in BTCC as well. Alongside him is number 50, Jim Pocklington. Now he's in a Cavalier, and this is a very special one indeed, one of the very first super touring cars ever built. It's the Cavalier that Chris Hodgetts raced right at the very dawn of the super touring era, and was originally rear-wheel drive. Later appeared in the Demon Tweaks colours with Ian Ashley, that chassis, in the 1993 BTCC. And the fifth row of the grid, number 33, Andrew Strachan. He's in an Andy Rouse-built Ford Mondeo. Didn't actually race in the BTCC, but it is in the Valvoline livery from 1995, a car that raced elsewhere, raced in the Czech Republic when West Surrey Racing took over running the BTCC Fords the following season. Completing the Super Touring grid is number 7, Rob Salisbury, and he's in a Honda Accord, the car that Paula Cook raced to some note in the Independence class in the late 1990s. That chassis, but it's now in Honda Works colours, and will be completing the 10 Super Touring and BTC cars. And there's a gap of a couple of rows. What will be a rolling start to this next race. You can see the cars already formed up in pit lane, ready to be led out. Let's have a look at the grid for the Pre-03 touring cars, sponsored by Bertie's Haulage. Well, it's the reigning champion in front of that pack, 191 Gary Preble, with his familiar Honda, who dominated the Pre-03 Championship last season, starting alongside another star of Castle Combe over the years, 211 Chris Southcott, with his Honda. Behind them we've got Don Hughes in the Peugeot 306, alongside Ross Craig with his Honda Civic. Then we've got another Honda for James Alford, number 116, and Cavan Granger with the first of the BMWs. 151 Vic Hope starts his Honda alongside the BMW E36 Touring. Yes, Touring as in estate car. Well, if Volvo can do it, then so can a BMW. And the Volvo estate, the 850 estate, is here this weekend, but sadly not racing. The Minshaw family now own one of the Volvo estates from the famous 1994 campaign. It is on display in the paddock this weekend. John Hillier is at the wheel of the BMW estate, though. Next we've got 119 Neil Ashcroft. He's in a Honda, as is Steve Barber, number 114 alongside him. Then 214 Andy Abrams, ex-Mod Prod Saloon racer, making a return in his Honda. Starts alongside Anton Martin. He's out in his new BMW. Not even driven that car before qualifying today. And finally, Simon Mann, the ex-Time Attack competitor. He's BMW powered as well. Super Tourers go through. There are the Pre-03s, headed up by Gary Preble, the king of Castle Combe. Starting alongside the black and red Honda there of Chris Southcott. Those of you who grew up like me watching BTCC in its famous 1990s Super Touring era, get ready for a very big nostalgia trip. This is going to be something special indeed. There they are, the Super Tourers, behind the pace car for the rolling start. Rickard Rydell, aka Jason Minshaw, in pole position in the Volvo S40, alongside the one and only Anthony Reid in the Nissan Primera. Both of those cars went to race in Scandinavia after their days in the BTCC before being repatriated. Colin Turkington is there in the MG. Well, and there is Jim Pocklington in the colours of the 1990 Vauxhalls, one of the very first Super Touring cars ever built. This is going to be something very special indeed, and something that's a lot of fans and drivers have waited for a very long time. Super Touring cars at Silverstone. 2 years. The Pre-03s, we mustn't forget them as well. They're effectively the super production division. But here we go then, history in the making here at Silverstone. We get underway, down towards the first corner they go. It's Jason Minshaw in the Volvo at the front of the field for this 15-minute race. Anthony Reid on his outside. Looks like Richard Wheeler, unfortunately, is not there in the second Nissan. John Cleland in third place and Colin Turkington behind. It's incredible. I can't believe I'm talking about these legendary names. This is brilliant. Cleland goes for the inside as they go into the right-hander at Village. Preble leads the Pre-03 category. And the leaders come down towards, and Minshaw's gone wide there in the Rydell car. Hope he's not got a problem already. John Cleland has the lead at Silverstone. This is the circuit, well, it was the national circuit where he did his last ever BTCC race in one of these cars, the 888 Vectras. Side by side for second, Anthony Reid and Colin Turkington. Who would have thought we'd have got this top three here at Silverstone today? Anthony Reid, Colin Turkington and John Cleland are fighting for the lead at Silverstone in 2022. We have gone back in time around 25 years here today, ladies and gents. Jason Minshaw, aka Rickard Rydell, is in there as well. Reid's taken the lead in the 23. It's Cleland in second. Here comes Turkington in the BTC MGZS, Jason Hughes' car, and in behind them as well. Here comes Tony Absalom at the wheel of the Mint Motorsports Cavalier as well, the green and white car. Behind him is Darren Fielding, ex-BMW racer, in the Spa 24 Hours XE and Heward Vauxhall Cavalier. And then in behind them we can see Jim Pocklington in his Cavalier as well. Round the outside goes Jason Minshaw. He's taken the lead from Anthony Reid. They're swapping the lead for fun, I think, these four. This is magnificent stuff. There's the Mondeo as well, dropping back a little bit. That's the car of Andrew Strachan. Father Alan has rebuilt that car. Raced with Josef Kopecki in the Czech Republic after it was sold on by Andy Rouse's team. Further back in the order we've got Rob Salisbury in the Honda Accord as well, the ex-Paula Cook car you can see there in the background. So unfortunately it looks as though Richard Wheeler in the ex-David Leslie Nissan failed to take the start, which is a bit of a shame. Hopefully we'll see him out tomorrow. So it's Rydell. I can't resist calling Jason Minshaw that in this race, who leads me. Ran a bit deep into club there over the curve. Anthony Reid goes for the outside. We remember the confrontations between Reid and Rydell at Brands Hatch a few years back in Period. Reid takes the lead. Here comes Turkington around the outside in the MG. John Cleland on the inside. Then we've got Tony Absalom, aka well, either Jamie Wall or Richard Kay, I suppose. And behind him is Darren Fielding in the car raced by Ian Heward. It raced in South Africa at Spa and elsewhere as well. Anthony Reid, back in the Primera, leads the way. It's like he's never been away. In the Pre-03s, it is Gary Preble in the white Honda Civic, and he's keeping up. You can see there with the Super Tourers. He's got ahead of Jim Pocklington in the Cavalier with such a long and impressive history. He's having a go at Darren Fielding as well. Gary Preble saying, I can play with these Super Tourers as well. What an awesome sight as they come down the Hanger Straight there in the afternoon sun. Minshaw and Reid swapping the lead. It's like 1998 all over again, it really is. Cleland in behind in the Vauxhall Vectra. I can hear on the circuit PA in the background Ian Titchmarsh and David Addison here this weekend. They commentated on these cars in Period. They'll be loving this too. Turkington's up to third. He's got ahead of Cleland. There's Jim Pocklington in the early 90s Vauxhall livery. Great to see that car back in its Period livery after it's raced in so many other places, that car, over the years. I could give you the full history of that car. There just isn't time because we've still got the battle between Reid and Minshaw going on at the front of the field. Minshaw dropping back there. He made a mistake coming through Village and the link, and he's lost a couple of spots. Turkington and Cleland have gone through as well. Here's a fight back in the Pre-03s. 214 is that of Andy Abrams making a return to racing this weekend in his Honda Civic, chased by 114. That is Steve Barber, and even he's in a BTCC tribute livery, the Lego Star Wars livery there, used by Tom Chilton on his Honda in the early 2000s. I am sorry, I did warn I'd get very nerdy during this race. Reid leads, Turkington second, Cleland third. Words I never thought I'd be uttering. Minshaw fourth, then the Cavaliers. Belgian livery on Darren Fielding's car there. Through Abbey they come. That car John Cleland is driving, it's Derek Warwick car built by Triple Eight Engineering. Raced at Bathurst as well, Warwick sharing it with Bathurst legend Peter Brock back in 1997. That very car was rebuilt after a crash in qualifying, went on to finish 6th. He gets past Turkington in the MG. Colin Turkington, of course, known for his 4 BTCC titles in BMWs and the BMR Subarus as well.
Yeah, they're coming down the straight now. Here they come, and it is still the Primera that has the lead.
Out to Stowe Corner, Reed, Cleland, Turkington, Rydell at Minshaw. Although up the inside, side by side with Turkington, Minshaw takes 3rd place in the car that he rebuilt. Got it some 8 years ago after it's been raced in Sweden and Norway following its success in the UK. Raced by Rydell and Gianni Morbidelli. Jan Flash Nilsson took the car to Sweden where he won the Swedish Touring Car Championship with it, so Sweden being one of the last bastions of super touring cars from their twilight years. Here comes John Cleland, he's going for the lead as they come into Abbey, he goes through. Cleland takes the lead. Oh, and problems for Anthony Reid, something blue there. Reid's out of it, there goes the Nissan. So it's Minshaw now 2nd, Turkington 3rd, then it got back to the independent Cavaliers, you could say, with Absalom in 4th in the Mint Motorsport car, then Darren Fielding. It's the Fielding car, as you mentioned, built for the Spa 24-hour race in 1993. They're coming up to lap Simon Mann, the purple BMW there on his debut. Fielding car also run by Richard Hawken in Euro Saloons. Rebuilt by Cleland Motorsports. So John Cleland's had a hand in that car as well. Still Cleland from Minshaw. We mustn't ignore the pre-03s as well. It's easy to get nostalgic about the Super Tourers, and Cleland's boxed in there. Look out, Simon Mann. And Minshaw says, thank you very much, I'll go around the outside and take the lead for Volvo. Simon Mann, the ex-Time Attack competitor on his debut. They're coming up to lap Anton Martin, first time in his BMW as well, normally a Ford man. There's Gary Preble, and he's under pressure for the lead in the pre-03s as well, because his old Castle Combe rival Chris Southcott is up there with him. Jim Pocklington has pulled the earlier Cavalier into the pits as well. So these cars with a couple of teething troubles. Preble really under pressure there. Chris Southcott, who's raced in mod sports with an MG Midget and various other saloon classes as well. There's Pocklington, I think he's been into the pits with the Cavalier. Yes, he has, so he's quite a way down the order now. There's the battle for the lead. Turkington going for it as they go into Stowe there. He concentrates on the pre-03s. It's, of course, 2 races in 1. There's Andrew Strachan in the Mondeo in the background. The colours used by Paul Radicic and Kelvin Burt in the 1995 BTCC season. But never mind that, because Southcott goes through and takes the lead of the pre-03 splits. Two former Castle Combe legends, these two. Southcott having raced in their domestic saloons with a Peugeot 205. Gary Preble, I think, has the record for most wins at Castle Combe in recent years before switching to classic touring cars. They come up to lap Simon Mann. Still, just under 6 minutes of this race to go. Cleland has got the lead ahead of Turkington. Preble retakes Southcott for the lead of the pre-03s.
I still wonder whether maybe Preble got slight issues.
There's the lead battle, Cleland, Minshaw and Turkington. The battle for 4th now sees Darren Fielding, who's just got ahead of Tony Absalom in the battle of the Vauxhalls. Southcott and Preble are now 6th and 7th overall. There's Andrew Strachan in the Mondeo. Don Hughes is 9th in the yellow Peugeot 306 as Minshaw dives for the inside. He goes through at club. This is just like a classic super touring race of the late 90s. 6, of course, would say with less contact, but these cars are very valuable these days. They're go up to lap Neil Ashcroft in the Honda, number 119. He gets out of the way. Oh, and Anton Martin power slides the BMW, normally used to front-wheel drive Fords. The Pre-03 leaders had to get out of the way there. So Minshaw leads in the Volvo, the man from Wrexham. He's just done the fastest lap of the race as well, 1:11.29. Turkington third, then Fielding, Absalom, then the Pre-03s. That's Anthony Reid's car that went out earlier on, sadly. Great shame, because he was fighting for the lead as well. Here's the fight for fourth place, the two Cavaliers. Darren Fielding, Bristol Super Touring Mondeo in some events in the past, the blue and yellow Rapid Fit liveried car. He's pulled away a bit from Tony Absalom now in the Fujifilm Mint Motorsport car. A bit of smoke coming from that car, I see, perhaps. Still 4 minutes to go. And this is the race, as we said earlier, that 1990s racing fans have come to see. Through go the leaders. John Cledden losing a little bit of ground there, just over a second off. Minshaw now has Preble back up the inside. And that's a back marker he's passing. Sorry, Steve Barber being lapped in the Lego Star Wars car. Tom Chilton look-alike. There's retro touring car liveries everywhere you look here today. Some retro touring cars themselves and some retro touring car drivers as well. Gary Preble looking to start the defence of his Pre-03 title in perfect fashion. Here are the Super Touring leaders. Minshaw from Cleland. Turkington has dropped back a little bit now in the car owned by Jason Hughes. See him out in his Vectra later in the season as well. Not quite ready for the Classic Thunder event today. I think one of the BMWs there. It's the 137. Callum Granger goes a lap down. Couple of laps to go. It's car to be lapped James Alford in the bright yellow Civic. Mason Minshaw a little bit sideways there through Abbey Corner. Of course, Super Tourers never raced on this international layout at Silverstone. This layout didn't exist when these cars raced in period. The wing hadn't been built then. Lapping Rob Salisbury there in the ex-Paula Cook Honda Accord. Raced in the colours of DC Cook Motorsport in period, not in the Honda Works colours. Of course, so when Super Touring ended, a lot of these cars were laid up in storage for several years until they were bought and the revival movement began. I've already given you the history of the Minshaw car, raced in Sweden and Norway before Jason bought it. The car that John Cleland is in, we mentioned raced at Bathurst, that raced in Sweden as well with Jan Brunstedt, and in Norway. Then Alex Schoolidge brought it back to the UK and raced it in the Dunlop Motorsport News Series and the Euro Saloons as well. There are the Pre-03s. Gary Preble has now pulled away from Chris Southcott. They are in 6th and 7th overall. Third in Pre-03 is Don Hughes with his Peugeot 306. They were one of the dominant cars in the early years of the BTCC production class, the likes of Simon Harrison and Roger Moen. Oh, Cleland slowing a bit there. And Turkington goes through. Don't tell me John Cleland's got a problem. Some of these cars haven't raced for a while. Southcott in second with his Civic. He's dropped back now from Gary Preble. Looks like we are now on the possibly the last lap of this one. We may get one more lap out of it, we shall see. Minshaw's pulled away now from Colin Turkington. Now, where is John Cleland? We saw him slow as he came out of Abbey. So we'll try and find the Vectra. Let's see if the checkered flag goes out this time. We may get one more lap out of this, depending on the pace of Rickard Rydell, aka Jason Minshaw. 20 seconds on the clock as he comes out of close, so I think we're going to get one more lap. Indeed we are. Going to start his final lap goes the 1998 BTCC winning Volvo S40. They were all sceptical and said it was just a publicity stunt when Volvo came in with the 850 estate in 1994. Cynicism disappeared the following year when they switched to the saloons, and Rickard Rydell and Tim Harvey were winners virtually straight out of the box. Volvo became one of the icons of the Super Touring era in the second half of the 90s. Gary Preble continues on his way in the Pre-03s. He's heading for victory to kick off his title defence in style. Super Tourers, of course, not racing for points this year, only a 4-meeting exhibition series. Something flew off there as Jason Minshaw came into Stowe for the last time. Anyway, that was just a bit of debris he ran over, but he's heading for victory. Cleland into the pits. I thought there was a problem with the Vectra. That's a shame. Here comes Jason Minshaw up to lap Anton Martin for, I think, the second time. Here he comes to win the first Super Touring revival race of the season. Jason Minshaw in the Volvo takes the victory. Second will go to, I think, Colin Turkington in the MG. He'll win the BTC class. And third place, no, have we lost Turkington? He's not come through. Have we lost Turkington as well as Cleland? Because Tony Absalom in the Cavalier has crossed the line in second. Darren Fielding has come through in third. He's got a penalty for track limits as well. He's been given a 10-second penalty. And flashing his lights, Gary Preble comes home in fourth overall to win the Pre-03. So he lost Colin Turkington on the final lap there somewhere. Some of these Super Touring cars proving a bit fragile on their return. There is Gary Preble winning the Pre-03s. Oh, it looks like we've lost Colin Turkington, sadly, on the final lap somewhere. We'll confirm the results in a few moments' time. But that was a wonderful nostalgia trip. And full credit, of course, to the Pre-03s as well. Gary Preble kicking off his title defence. Turkington has pulled into the pits. So whether he'll be classified or not, I'm not sure. We'll confirm the provisional results in a moment. We lost Rob Salisbury's Honda into the pits a couple of laps from home as well. We saw John Cleland pull in, and we lost Anthony Reid in the Nissan. Jim Pocklington retired to the pits as well. So not so many finishers in the Super Touring category, but still a great display by them on their return to the track, and leaving the fans very satisfied indeed.
It was a proper battle as well, wasn't it? Yeah, at the beginning, and they sort of started dropping off.
On a personal note, I can't believe I've just commentated on cars and drivers that were responsible for my fixation with motorsport when I was growing up. Still have my memories of going to see the touring cars at Donington Park, my nearest big circuit. Let's quickly go through the results then. Minshaw the winner, Absalom taking second, and Turkington classified third on the results there, but I think he pulled into the pits on the final lap, so he may not be in the final result. Darren Fielding, despite a track limits penalty, is next. Then Gary Preble, the winner of the Pre-03s, ahead of Chris Southcott. Andrew Strachan coming home in the Mondeo next. Then Don Hughes, Ross Craig and James Alford in their Hondas, Cavan Granger's BMW, then Vic Hope. The BMW estates we didn't really see, sadly. John Hillier and Rob Salisbury, another man who pulled into the pits towards the end. Right, as one of my commenters has just said, I'll probably need a cold shower after that. So we'll hand down to Ian Waterhouse in Parc Fermé.
My team, and fantastic cars, so reliable, and it's great to get.
Right, welcome everybody down to, I'm going to call it Winners Row. Now I'm next to Jason Minshaw's car. It's nice and warm here as well, I have to say. Let's go grab a word of him. Jason, first of all, thank you for that. That first 10 minutes or so, I just didn't know where to look. I can't imagine what it was like from where you were sitting.
Yeah, it was a bit like that. It's like, I'm glad I adjusted the mirrors before you went out, because they were everywhere.
It was insane, wasn't it? I mean, you had Colin Turkington all over here, you had John Cleland. I mean, it was just, what a treat, what a day.
Yeah, and these are all pros. I'm just an amateur that looks after it myself. I mean...
Well, you haven't done too bad though, have you?
No, I'm quite happy with that. It's good fun.
What's it like to drive this? I mean, it's iconic, isn't it?
Now it's got Michelin tyres on that it had in its day. It's just luxury. It's absolutely amazing. You turn in, put your foot down, and it just goes. Mega.
I'm jealous, I have to say. If you're ever doing any passenger laps, don't forget your old mate Ian, all right? Congratulations, Jason. Well done. Let's just grab over here. We don't have Colin Turkington. He came second, didn't he? John Cleland very sadly retired from the race. What a shame that was. But this man over here just nipped in to third place in the end. Let's see if we can grab a quick word with the guys here as well. Dramatic finish, chaps, wasn't it?
Thank you. It's good to put a event together where it's a spectacle for the spectators, and the cars are so well received. And yeah, we've had some great battles, us too. Brilliant, really good.
Say the old Cavalier. I mean, you can't beat it, can you?
Can't go wrong with a Chav, can you?
No.
They're brilliant. They're brilliant chassis, fantastic car.
It's always, I'm not just saying this because you guys are here, the Vauxhall Cavalier is a bit of a guilty secret for me. One of my favourite cars, honestly. I'm not just making it up.
No, they are, they're cracking, they're brilliant. They are brilliant, mate.
Guys, thanks for that. Wonderful stuff. Really appreciate it. Very, very good. And stuff. Like I said, unfortunately, Colin Turkington's not here. I'm not too sure where he is. But wow, what a treat that was. More racing action still to come, though. So I'm going to hand back to your commentator, Dave Goddard.